Hey there, audio friends. Welcome back. MrAyrit here. Got a DAC review for you today, and I didn't think I'd be back to this place. You know, I've been loving my RU6s, and I actually sold, my Soekris 2541, which I sold after, which I sold the Bifrost 2 to buy. But here I am, back in the shit camp with the Bifrost 264. This is going to be a pretty quick review because there's not a whole lot to say about this device other than it sounds fantastic and it's made me, switch back from the RU6. So let's take a quick look at the device. I mean, there's not a lot new here, but we'll run through it just in case you're unfamiliar with this previous product generation, and then we'll get a little more into the sound. So let's take a look. It looks exactly like a Bifrost 2. I don't think you could tell them apart. I think they are probably exactly the same. You've got a button on the front for input select. You got a spot for a remote. The remote is right here, solid aluminum. Okay, just real quick here, I did double check the function of the remote, and what you've got is just a simple mute. This is input select, and this is a phase flip is what this button does. So kind of interesting that feature is built in here, but that's what we got for remote function. No volume or anything like that. You got a nice remote. One thing that's kind of cool is it's magnetic, so you can just stick it on the side there. I appreciate that because I just am sitting at my desk and it just makes it easy to just keep it there. On the back, it should look pretty familiar, right? You got balance out, single-ended out. You've got a little spot for a firmware update if you need to do that. You've got USB, you've got optical, you've got coax. Of course, you got the switch on the back there, and then just the space for the regular PC power cable. So functionality-wise, looks-wise, all that, it looks just like a Bifrost 2. I don't think there's anything new here in that regard. But what is new is the DAC chip, and of course this is their Schiit's multi-bit structure, which is kind of their take on R2R. It's like a pre-manufactured chip, but then they alter it to interpret sounds, is my understanding of it. So I don't have, let me just start off by saying I don't have a Bifrost 2 to compare this to. What I compared it to was my Cayin RU6, which honestly, I still think is a phenomenal value, right? Those things, you can find them on the used market for $200. And I think if you're looking for just like a cheaper DAC, then the RU6 is the way to go. In my mind, little dongle DAC, link down below to that. Okay, so you can check out the review for that if you want to. I'm still using one of those at my bedside table, right? But I ended up buying this Bifrost 264 because I had the LTA Z10E and the X9000s from Staxon, and I just knew people would be giving me crap if I only had the RU6 to listen to. I wanted to get something that would be considered, a little bit higher end and more accepted, I would think, by most people to validate those reviews, right? And I'm glad I did because, well, I'm glad, and I kind of am glad, I'm kind of not. I'm glad because it did sound really good, and I would say it just gives you a little more detail, a little more clarity, a little more spatial information than the RU6. The RU6, it is rolled off a little bit, especially in the upper frequencies, and while it's wonderfully smooth to listen to, and I still think retains like quite a bit of detail, you're not getting that last little bit of detail that you can with something like the Bifrost 264 here. So I think that the Bifrost 264 really strikes a nice balance between having those details forward enough that you can pick them out, and it does seem like you're getting more and you're getting more resolution. But it also doesn't ever wade into the territory of being like too harsh or too forward or anything like that. So I've just really enjoyed using it, and like I said, especially when I was using those higher end amps, I really could tell that I was getting more out of the 264 here than I was the RU6. And so ultimately I decided that I would go ahead and keep the 264 and keep this as my main kind of listening DAC down here with my, and it stacks nice with my Lokius, and I'm using it with my Quicksilver, and it all looks and works fantastic. So I'm a big fan of this DAC. I think, is it worth the upgrade if you have a Bifrost 2? I mean, Schiit's got a return policy, right? And you can just swap out the cards yourself. So I would say if you've got that itch, I would say give it a shot and see if you think it's better. I Again, I can't do a direct comparison to the original Bifrost 2. I thought that DAC was great when I had it, but ultimately I moved to the Soekris from it and then the RU6 from the Soekris. So I don't know. I'm coming around full circle. It's probably not that much different, if I'm being totally honest with you, if I were to guess, but I can't do it from memory. So I can just tell you that right now I've got this here in front of me and I've been listening to it for like a month now, and I think it's really, really good. I do have one little quibble about it, and that is that when I first start listening to music with it, sometimes, not every time, sometimes there is a boatload of distortion through the USB signal. All I have to do is cycle through the inputs and come back around to USB, and that distortion is gone. I emailed Schiit about it. They didn't give me a real clear answer on what they thought was going on. They would just said the typical stuff like, oh, try it with a different computer, try it with a different USB cable. So I don't know. It might be an isolated event. Here's the thing. I have another friend that has a Bifrost 264, and he said he has the same problem. So there could be something there. That's all I'm saying. It's definitely not a deal breaker, right? I'm keeping the DAC. I think it sounds fantastic. But there is just that little quibble that I have that makes me question how many of these guys are doing something like that. Again, it's an easy fix, just cycle through the inputs and it comes and it's fine, but just something to be aware of. So yeah, I think it's a home run. I love it. It's staying in my system for now. How long? Who knows, right? These things all come and go for me, but I definitely think if you're looking at it, I do think it's a wonderful DAC, and I think it's appropriately priced where it's at. So I think that's all I got for you. As always, I appreciate your time. Feel free to drop your own experiences, comments, all that down below. I always think that's helpful for other people who are trying to make these audio decisions. And then, of course, like if you found it useful. I'll drop links down to Schiit. It's not affiliate, but if you want to go check out the product, definitely feel free to do so. And, I'll have more audio reviews coming for you in the near future. So subscribe and stick around, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.